episode 10 of the StackCast. We have here today Jeremy and Kallisti to speak about a particular project, Selene Wallet. Do you want to go ahead and introduce yourselves, and after that, maybe introduce the project a bit?
Hi, I'm Jeremy. I host the Bitcoin Cash podcast, which I've done for about the last 2.5 years. And I've been in Bitcoin since 2013, back when it was the original cash project that you could spend and use as a currency and live free type of vibes. That obviously all got a bit derailed with BTC, which is now a regulated investment asset, and so forth. But Bitcoin Cash has survived, so I'm on that side of the fence with the Bitcoin forks. And yeah, we needed to have a wallet for Bitcoin Cash that was open source and fast and easy to use as cash. So that's what Kallisti and I have built.
Hi, I'm Kallisti. Been in Bitcoin Cash for the past 2 years or so now. Uh, More or less been trying to breach into becoming a full-time developer, and happy to say that with the release of Selene Wallet, I've been able to do that. I think Jeremy did a pretty good synopsis of Selene. We just wanted to do something quick and simple and easy for people to get started with Bitcoin Cash with. We both saw the need and decided to team up in August of last year. And now we've got a really cool wallet to show for it. So it's something that I'm really excited about. I let all my friends and family know about it, and happy to just sing the great graces of Selene to the whole world here.
So it hasn't even been a full year yet.
No, yeah, actually, I just got the domain renewal notice in my email like this month, so we're only coming up on just a year since we registered the domain even.
Oh,
And that
wow.
was about about 9 months, I think, of dev time, maybe a little bit longer, 10. So it's only been live for about what, 6 weeks at this point.
Yeah, because
And
we launched on May 15th with the cash tokens upgrade. We don't support cash tokens yet, but we wanted to, make a big release hype on that day, so we released on that day.
All right. Okay. So very fresh then.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay. Good to know. Well, I have no personal experience with Selene Wallet. Why don't you explain to me what exactly stands out about the wallet, why you felt like the Bitcoin Cash community needed this?
if you want to try it right now, you can download it live on air. We'll send you some stats, show you how easy it is.
Right.
Oh gosh. I mean, I can't. I turned my phone off.
Mhm.
Well, it's not, all you need to do is just look up Selene Wallet, Selene, and yeah, download it. But if you do that, what you'll notice is we've cut out all of the sort of intro screens and things that people typically have. Like in StackWallet, when you come in, it says, do you want the privacy version or do you want the regular version? And it walks you through setting up your seed phrase and all of that stuff. But Kallisti and I are obviously going out there onboarding people to cryptocurrency pretty regularly. And one of the key things is to give them that experience that it's so fast and so quick, and they didn't have to put in any registration information. So the way we make that work is when you first load up the app, it just has already generated you a wallet, and it already shows you a receive code, QR code, and you can literally just send to someone from the second the wallet pops up on their phone. And when you do that, and then of course it being Bitcoin Cash, it's all zero confirmation, so it just happens instantly. Then boom, you're already rock and rolling, and they feel like, wow, that was so fast that I'm not only impressed, but they're a bit sort of bewildered often that it was that easy. So that's kind of our key selling point at the moment, I'd say.
All right. And just to double check here, I'm assuming no one has to dox themselves here, obviously, but I have to assume you're based in Australia.
No, so I'm living in the UK, but I am Australian. I
Okay.
was
Okay.
born in Canberra. I've been in the UK about the last 4 years, and but the company is American.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm actually based in the US.
Okay. I figured, but I had to ask. Well, I am. There we go. Phone's back turned on. So if we want to do this, we can do this. First time for everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, how would I put this? We've had recently I do not think it's up yet. I think it may be the next episode going up. With the creator of Flowy Pay.
Mm.
Oh yeah, Tom
Um,
Zander, he's a great guy.
yes. So I'm obviously not gonna pit any projects against each other here. But what you mentioned about Selene in particular was it's kind of fast and easy to pick up, kind of no learning curve, no annoying registration process kind of features. So, or I guess lack of added stuff.
Mhm.
Um, I asked, you'll see in the other episode, I asked, I believe the same thing, but I always have to ask because this is kind of a very, privacy centric company in general, obviously, but space overall. Do you have any particular features that you've made sure and put in place, or I guess capabilities, plans for the future to maybe integrate um, any kind of like mixing surfaces, anything like that that may be especially privacy enhancing? Or is your focus kind of more on the just pick it up? I have no idea what it is, but we're going to figure it out right now.
You definitely gonna have Cache Fusion integration. Um, I mean, Cache Fusion is the premier privacy tool for Bitcoin Cash. In fact, Diego is trying to get it into StackWallet for particularly iOS. He just restarted his flip starter. Hopefully it succeeds this time. I gave a little pledge myself. I think he's going to do good work on it, especially since he's collaborating with he's collaborating with Fukeball, right? That's who JF is.
Yeah.
So I think that'll actually be pretty fruitful and pretty groundbreaking for BCH. So I'm happy to contribute to that. And then that also helps us out too, because like nobody's done it on iOS yet, as everyone knows. So once he does that, we have something to work with on our end too. I mean, we're not going to be able to like directly integrate the work that he's doing because we're not in Dash, but it gives us a code base to work off of so that we can port it over to what will work for us. So I mean, it's exciting. So, I mean, Cache Fusion is pretty easy to use too. So, I mean, it doesn't really interfere with the simplicity that we're aiming for with the wallet. As it exists right now, you can just get the Electron Cache desktop wallet, and all you have to do is press the Cache Fusion button in the bottom toolbar, and you can just leave your wallet fusing all day, every day if you really wanted to, because it only costs like about 1,000 sats per fusion. And so on BCH, I mean, that's less than a penny per fusion. Literally afford to do that all day in a lot of cases.
Oh, all right. See, I'm not familiar with the ins and outs of very much of Bitcoin Cash or Cash Fusion besides kind of the very surface level. So I had to ask, but do you have a timeline for that, or is it kind of based right now on kind of what you said, there being an existing code base out there to kind of move over from?
So I mean, people have accomplished this on Android already. So there's some prior work that we can look to there, but it's still a challenge, especially considering where we are right now. Since we just launched, we really did launch as a minimum viable product, and we're still building in a lot of the more core features that we feel are like very essential and don't require as much like research and overhead to get implemented. So it's something that's a really high priority, but also not something that we necessarily have the bandwidth to do right now. So it's still kind of longer term for Cache Fusion to get implemented. But it is something that we really want to do, and something that, at least on Android, I know for a fact can be accomplished. And then with iOS, hopefully the StackWallet team, just breaks some ground there and helps us figure it out.
Hopefully this is not a show for the Kickstarter necessarily. It could be, but hopefully that gets fulfilled this time, and then that can move forward a little bit faster. But
Yeah.
that's not what we're here for today. That's just a side note for anyone that happens to watch this while it's still going. But so I am on Android. So I went ahead and downloaded the wallet right now. Have not done this before on any episodes, but since you threw the idea out there, I'm totally down with it. So
All right, brilliant.
yes, so I have opened it.
There
I
you
have
go.
no idea
All right.
how well this
I
will
just
reflect with the
put that a
brightness,
little
but
closer to your camera.
yeah, we are. Ooh, my brightness is probably a little high, and I do have a light in front of me, but we open straight into the wallet with a code right there. That's That's it. You were right. No
That's
loading,
it.
no setup. That is pretty wild.
I was
So when
almost
you first open
done.
it, it's generating the wallet as it's opening?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
And as you see, like, yeah, there's no sign up, no name, no write down your seed phrase, nothing. You're just straight into it. And one of the features we don't have yet, but we will add, is a little sort of reminder that is there saying back up your seed phrase. Like, obviously that is quite critical that people do get to do that. And that's the downside of having it the way we have it, is that somebody could immediately delete the app or something and just lose their money. But our logic is that the first time when you're receiving money, either you're a new crypto user or you're an old hand. If you're an old hand, you are going to know to look for the seed phrase and back it up. And if you're new, then you're probably only getting 10 cents or $1 from somebody who's onboarding you and showing you for the first time. Your entire life savings is not being transferred around if you're
Hopefully
completely
not.
new. Yeah, hopefully. If they do that and they screw it up, well,
If you do, you
sucks,
may be trusting someone a little too much from the get-go. But
But
exactly.
also the first time that you click on the settings tab there's a big yellow warning. You can't miss it. This is please back up your recovery phrase. And so if you tap on that, it does bring you to your wallet screen where you can view that.
oh,
That's okay for
it is
now.
right there. You're right.
But in the future, yeah, we also want to have a little screen pop up, like the more value that you have in your wallet, or the more transactions that you do, and we know whether or not you looked at your phrase because it's behind that screen. So until you click on the big giant eyeball that reveals your phrase, like we're just like, hey, can you do us the bare minimum and glance at the seed phrase just so that we could say we did our part here.
And is there currently the ability to restore a pre-existing wallet from another place? Okay.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, we do
assume
have.
that would be a pretty basic thing to leave out, but you never know.
It is. Well, we've launched with the very, very minimum. So we've got send, we've got receive, we've got multiple wallets, and we've got backing up and restoring wallets, but that's literally it. And we've got so much stuff in the pipeline though, because the second sort of phase of our plan, so the first phase is this cash onboarding, like you've seen, and then the second phase is, because we're only Bitcoin Cash and we're not going to do any other coins or any other integrations, like on StackWallet, you have so many different options. So I'm sure the tech team has to split up their time, right? They have to make sure that every different coin is working correctly and there's custom code that needs to be written. We don't have any of that. We've made the basic stuff for Bitcoin Cash. And then instead of diversifying into more coins, we're going to just go deeper on Bitcoin Cash. So we're hoping to be able to offer a lot of Bitcoin Cash specific stuff. So Cash Fusion would be one example that we already mentioned, but there's loads of other things like any hedge, which can let you stabilize or increase the leverage of your coins if you're feeling risky. Cash tokens and the whole DeFi ecosystem that's starting up there. NFT project integrations. We're thinking of having obviously a merchant map and stuff so people can find where they need to go. Just everything that the Bitcoin Cash community specifically needs, and any specific features of a Bitcoin Cash that other wallets might not be as quick or as thorough in integrating, because obviously they've got to shoot across a broad spectrum, whereas we're just focused on a niche.
Now, the merchant map that you mentioned, I'm sure there are wallets with that existing already, but I have not seen that in any, at least that I have tested out. That to me at least seems like a fairly unique concept that shouldn't be too crazy to do if there's already kind of a service somewhere that provides that you can throw in there. But okay, that's a very interesting idea. I like that. That's all I'm going to say. And then the other kind of Bitcoin Cash specific services that you mentioned, would you have time to kind of just give a quick pitch for what those are for myself and anyone else that's not quite as familiar with those?
Yeah, sure. So one of the things I'm super excited about at the moment, I know Kallisti is also a huge fan and user of this, is BCH Bull, which is an implementation of this technology called AnyHedge. And the idea is that in cryptocurrency, everybody knows that you have these problems with stability, right? Especially when you're using it in the real world, you're actually paying people rather than just kind of gambling online. Or you're paying to merchants or what have you, or you onboard somebody new and they're worried, what if all my money goes away? I know that this is volatile, right? So you have a lot of people in cryptocurrency that want their coins to be stable against their fiat currency, so they still have the same amount, in a day, a week, a month, whatever it is. And then at the same time, you also have lots of people that love to gamble in cryptocurrency, right? They put in their money, the next meme coin, Dogecoin, we're going to be rich, right? So you have those two groups of people. So they actually are well matched because one group of people doesn't want volatility and the other one does. So Bitcoin Cash has a system called AnyHedge, which lets those two parties get together and transfer the volatility from people who don't want it to people who do want it. So the simple explanation of how that works is you can imagine if you and I were going to do this deal, if you wanted it to be stable and I wanted to speculate and hopefully get rich, I wanted to take your volatility, then you might put in $10 of BCH and I put in $10 of BCH. And then in 1 week, you get back $10 of BCH and I get back the rest. So if the price has gone up, I've now made extra BCH, but you've still got $10. Whereas if the price has gone down, I'm subsidizing you. You're still getting your $10 and I've lost money because I bet the wrong way, right? So this system has been created on Bitcoin Cash to do these exact kind of trades or contracts, and they're all written directly into the blockchain. So you don't have to worry about, it's not like sending off to an exchange and then hoping that in a week they're going to give you back their money. No, the money is already locked on the blockchain. You can't have it stolen or taken away. And there's obviously very little middleman fees because the network transaction fees are low as well. Too, you don't have extra third parties necessarily. So it's quite a big goal of mine, I think, that because we're going to have so many users using it as cash day to day, and there's already been huge demand for this product, that we'll integrate it so that you can just maybe tap one button in your wallet and it just locks your balance and you never even have to think about it, or perhaps, you can set aside a portion of funds and speculate them if you think the price is going to go up or down for users who are into that. But I think the stabilizing point is going to be the key side for us to begin with.
Definitely. And that's such an interesting concept. It makes sense to exist, but it's not something that you hear about often. I'm sure there's some sort of version in traditional finance as well, but I don't go too deep into that, so I'm not quite certain. But I just learned something huge just now. And then what were a couple of the other potential future kind of pipeline features that you mentioned?
Okay, so there's like Cash ID. Cash ID is something that I'm pretty excited about. It's kind of an underdeveloped technology. But it's something that Bitcoin Tech is just really good at. We can use the wallet as our identity gateway, right? I can log into websites with my wallet. That's the kind of future that I imagine, where we can just use it. The wallet is your gateway to like everything else in the world, kind of in the way that the phone is now. I see a lot more deeper integrations in the future, but Cash ID will be one of those pieces of it where, we can log into websites. You won't need a password manager anymore. You could just do all of your logins and everything just right there, because the built-in crypto infrastructure for each of these coins, you can just have, I guess your ID on layer one is the easiest way to describe it, right? That's all it really is. It's a pretty simple scheme. We can already sort of do this with, say, like cashrain.com, which actually just came into public release a couple days ago. So yeah, check that out. But they have a login with the bitcoin.com wallet. You just like scan the QR code. It's not exactly Cash ID, but it's a similar concept. Apparently it only works with the bitcoin.com wallet, so we got to kind of figure that one out too. But just the general concept of ID, I'm very excited about that. I think it'll be cool to have in Selene later.
Okay, another very interesting one. And I think perhaps you mentioned one more thing.
I did.
Sorry,
I did say about cash tokens. I mean, we've got. We could go on. There's a very, very long backlog that we've got to do. But cash tokens is this upgrade that has recently launched on the May the 15th on Bitcoin Cash, right? So it's a very fast history lesson. In 2017, the Bitcoin community split into the BTC and the BCH side, right? And the BTC side, they were sort of, again, they believe in this idea of having sort of reliability and low change in their cryptocurrency. They're not particularly innovative, and they think that makes them seem safe for large institutional investors to invest in. But the ethos of crypto in almost every other coin including Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin before the fork, was one of experimentation and innovation, which is how we've had on Ethereum. You've had obviously all the sort of token markets and things which came out, and then you had decentralized exchanges, and then you had automatic market making, and you had loans, backed by DeFi collateral, and you had NFTs, and all of this creativity that has kind of exploded out of that. Well, Bitcoin Cash has been a little bit sidetracked and busy with some other things, but the community eventually decided, look, we need to get in on this game. So it's cooked up this upgrade, which is called Cash Tokens, which is bringing those same concepts all onto Bitcoin Cash. Not in the same exact way that Ethereum and a lot of other those chains are EVM chains, right? So they can just copy and paste from each other and quickly spring up an ecosystem. But on Bitcoin Cash, because it's a UTXO chain like Bitcoin or like Litecoin or like Monero, there's not as much pre-existing infrastructure for that kind of stuff, because a lot of the coins don't really support those kind of features yet. So the Bitcoin Cash community has had to start building all this stuff itself from scratch, but hopefully that will give us a huge competitive edge. So there are already other BCH wallets that have quite good integrations, and there's TapSwap, and there's AMMs and Cauldron. So there's things starting up in that regard. So once we've nailed a few of these other features, we'll eventually get around to catching up to state of the art in the industry there as well too.
All right. And if you don't mind me switching directions here for just a moment, I like to ask, when people kind of, I guess, latch on to a certain coin and feel inspired to build something off of it, I think kind of one of the base questions I like to ask is just what drew you to, in this case, Bitcoin Cash in the first place, as opposed to Bitcoin or, different kind of forks thereof?
I think Kallisti and I are probably going to have quite separate answers on this, but my answer is because at the time I got into Bitcoin, it was the only coin. In 2013, yes, Litecoin, and there was a bunch of others, Peercoin, Feathercoin, and so on and so forth. There was a few that existed, but anybody who was in crypto in earlier than 2015 was a Bitcoiner. There was just no other way around it. 99% of the market cap, all the development, all the excitement, all the community, all the discussion forums, everything, which at the time was quite small relative to how crypto is now, it was all revolved around Bitcoin. So I got into that because it was the only one, but also because it was the best coin. Even now, if you ask me, Bitcoin Cash, which has maintained the same scaling strategy that Bitcoin had initially, is the best by far. Obviously, I'm very heavily biased, right? And that's not to say I disavow the project. It's very important that the scene has a lot of innovation and people are free to try different things. It's a free market after all. But the reason that Bitcoin got so successful initially, if in a sort of a hypothetical world where somebody had launched Ethereum first, it wouldn't have been anywhere near as exciting in my view. And the reason is because Bitcoin is actually designed to scale at literally a global scale, right? You could have billions of people transacting on Bitcoin, and Satoshi explained in his early writings that was going to be the game plan, right? That the design actually supported Bitcoin getting to that scale. Now, after there was the whole block size wars and things, BTC ended up taking a different route, but BCH still has that seed within it that it could become the entire currency that literally the entire world is using. And many other currencies, almost all of the other cryptocurrencies, either technically are not capable of that for various reasons, or have had various other political or community problems that make that unlikely. So yeah, for me, I think if you're gonna play, you got to play to win, and Bitcoin Cash is going to be the coin that the entire world uses, hopefully. So that's why I'm excited about Bitcoin Cash.
All right, and Kallisti, what are your thoughts? Are they so different?
I mean, I'm in Bitcoin Cash for a lot of the same reasons, but my journey to get there was a lot different because Jeremy is way more of an OG, whereas I only got into Bitcoin Cash just with it as of like 2021, realistically. So I mean, my exposure to Bitcoin goes back as far as 2011, but between then and 2021, I basically had just like no inkling of what was happening in the crypto world at all. So I had to do a lot of research in that last bull run in 2021 about what the heck all this stuff was actually about. What is the point of Bitcoin? Because my first exposure in the bull run was through BTC and Ethereum. And so it was just, my friend is like, he got into Ethereum and like all the other 2017 stuff. And so he was trying to get me on Coinbase and all of that, and got me the little $10 deal that they had back then. And from there, I'm like, oh, wow, there's this whole list of coins. I scroll down a little bit and there's this green Bitcoin called Bitcoin Cash. And I'm like, why the heck would anyone buy this fake Bitcoin? And little did I know at the time that Bitcoin Cash is actually the real Bitcoin, but we don't got to get into that debate. Just suffice to say, like after kind of riding the crypto casino a little bit, I finally did enough research to realize the truth about Ethereum Classic and the truth about Bitcoin Cash. After getting more immersed into Bitcoin Cash and starting to figure out the tech of it immediately clicked to me that this is the Bitcoin tech that I need to be looking into. Again, the whole BCH is Bitcoin thing, and that's just where I am mentally. Like there is no second best, if you were.
And I think this is such an interesting thing to hear people talk about, because so much of what I see, not really so much from the talks on the podcast specifically, but just, like when you fall into a Twitter hole and go down the comments and read everyone's arguments about stuff, usually the best argument you hear from anyone is, well, this was Satoshi's original vision every time, every single time. And you don't often see people do a very good job of backing that up, I feel like. So I think it's very interesting when someone can actually elaborate on that just a little bit.
Do you want to hear our take on it? Why BCH is the original Bitcoin?
I'd love to. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, one of the unfortunate reasons that it's quite hard for people to distinguish what actually is Bitcoin is because it's in two separate camps, right? So the first camp is technical. If you read the original Bitcoin white paper, I don't know if you've done that, but if you have, or if you haven't, I recommend it. It's actually a good thing to do. It's only 9 pages and there's quite a lot of pictures, so it's fairly approachable. But there's still quite a lot of technical detail in there. So when you read the white paper, there's 2 elements, right? There's the technical side of it, and then there's the conceptual side of it. So on the technological side, it's quite hard for 99% of people are not going to know, when they're looking into BTC, BCH, BSV, eCash, or any other cryptocurrency, right? They're not necessarily going to have the best handle on technically which one actually matches the original design specification, much less is that even a good design specification? What if somebody has come up with a better one 5 years later, right? It's quite hard for people to get a handle on that. So
yeah,
being developers,
just because something is the first doesn't mean it's the best iteration of something either. And I think that's something a lot of people may want to keep in mind too. Just something I've noticed for sure. It's the original is the best, but kind of like when you were talking about different currencies building upon what Bitcoin has not changed and trying to kind of better that. It seems like a logical fallacy for sure. So I'll leave it.
There is definitely value to being first in terms of having network effect, which is huge for cryptocurrency, and also what's called the Lindy effect, right? The longer something lasts, the more reliable it is because it's survived something, right? If you had to bet which coins would be around in 10 years, you would bet all the coins that are at least 10 years old. You wouldn't bet the coin that started yesterday because they've shown no sort of staying power, right?
Absolutely. The closer, what is it? It's oh gosh, it's been a while since statistics, but this makes me think of the kind of the more time could be kind of translated or I don't know if this makes any sense, but into data points. The more data points you have, the closer you are to your averages being like dead on. I don't know if this is a strange way to think about it, but that's immediately what comes to my mind as well. So.
Exactly. So you have that technical side, and then you have the conceptual side, right? Which is the idea that Bitcoin is a peer-to-peer cash system that you can use in an alternative economy. And when you read the white paper, almost everybody can get that part of it. That part is actually very clear, but it's only been as time has gone on that with all the changes in the BTC side, have said, okay, we're not cash, we're digital gold. And they've said, okay, it's not supposed to be fast, and it's not supposed to be cheap, and it's not supposed to be frictionless. And we need to have a lot of regulation, and we need to have custodians, and we need to have third parties, all this stuff that is diametrically opposed to the original vision. It's only become clear as those paths between the two, versions of Bitcoin there have diverged, that it's become, the Bitcoin Cash community is now very obviously like they were the ones who just stuck with the original vision. And those two things are interrelated as well. That's another complicated part to it. The cash part only works because of the way the technology is designed, which is why in the long run BTC is sort of struggling, and people are experimenting and doing all these different alternatives. So the combination of those two ideas is why BCH is the real Bitcoin, I'd say. Yeah, like one of the main things with the BCH side is the way that we're convincing everybody that it's the real Bitcoin is just by having them use it, right? Like you saw how easy it was to use Selene. So at the moment in St. Kitts in the Caribbean and in Townsville in Australia, there's some Bitcoin circular economy going. There's hundreds of merchants that are accepting it. There's locals that live just off Bitcoin Cash, right? No other cryptocurrency has anything like that.
Is there anything specifically kind of going back to the wallet, because I'd like to kind of end on focusing on your work, that you want to make sure and cover before we wrap anything up, anything that's important to know as far as your timeline goes, as far as just places that it may be available. For example, do you have like APK versions, F-Droid, anything like that, for the kind of Google people out there?
Yeah, I can talk about our roadmap a little bit. So where we are right now, we just released on iOS as of a day or two ago. Been out on Android for coming up on 60 days or so. Our immediate goals right now, Jeremy's working on getting translations for pretty much all the world's major languages right now. I'm working on a lot of performance and scalability stuff, kind of getting us out of MVP phase and into like it's time to actually produce phase, so that we can build in the rest of the stuff that we want to get in there, like some of the features we were talking about earlier. And then there's like a whole section of the app that we have yet to develop where we're going to put in all of our integrations and our little sub modules and extra features and all of that kind of stuff. There's more what I consider core wallet stuff that we need to get in there, like coin control, the ability to manage your addresses, all of that kind of stuff. Right now, you get a fresh address every time you get a new transaction, except you can't go in and manually choose your address. So that's something that we want to do. And then, of course, cash tokens is also a pretty high priority integration. We want to be able to view all of your NFT collectibles. We want you to be able to manage all of your tokens and whatnot. So a pretty long roadmap ahead. And that's just on the wallet side too, because there's also, for every consumer or user, there's also a merchant that needs tools and software that's focused on everything that you need to run a business too, your payroll and your accounting and your inventory and all of that kind of stuff. We can have BCH native solutions for. So that's where I see one branch of the future of Selene is in business offerings, but another branch is also in like content aggregation and whatnot, where Jeremy is already doing great work with the podcast. We can integrate like see content from within the wallet, or like get the latest BCH news, or have people spend some amount of sats or whatever to get listed on this content aggregation platform. Later on, we can expand our website to have more focus on like community aspects, like blogging, or just, I guess, any other kind of thing. Use our imagination a little bit, but so that's the other arm of where I kind of see where we're going after we have this very robust wallet offering.
Yeah, and specifically, we do have the .apks. So if you go on the website, selene.cash, SELENE.cash, then we put the APKs up there as well. So like you said, people using F-Droid or whatever, that's there. The links to the source code, obviously, don't trust, verify, right? If people need to check up on our work, please, it's there, and we do accept pull requests and suggestions and feedback and so forth in our Telegram or on the repository. So we have that. And I would also like in the future, we don't have it now and it's not on the roadmap because as you get, or immediately because we've got so many different things, but I'm really keen for us to have a web version as well as a desktop version and a browser extension. And the tech underneath it, our stack is all in JavaScript. So even just with our one code base, we should be able to deliver on all of those platforms. And I'm super excited for that because like we did with you onboarding, obviously we've made it as small and as quick to download as possible with the wallet, but it would be even faster if you could just say, open up your web browser, just type in selene.cash, bang, and it already has the screen exactly like you saw. That's kind of where we're going with this. And you can't make it that much easier to onboard people when you're out and about and explaining and demonstrating crypto. So I'd say that's our target.
Not
Also,
sure it gets
I wanna
much easier than
clarify
that.
we are not on F-Droid, but we do have the APK available from the Selene.cash website. So just clarify that. We said we are on F-Droid.
Great. And then you mentioned your Telegram group, GitHub, I believe. And then just I'll go ahead and put these in the description whenever we do upload this, but what would those be? What are any links you'd like us to throw up there? Maybe personal accounts, if you have any to follow.
Selene.cash is definitely the best #1 link. That's going to have the link to our source code repository, the link to our Twitter account, link to our Telegram channel, as well as the Google Play, Apple App Store, and APK links are all right there on the front page. And then our socials probably. For me, you can put in Kallisti.cash, that redirects to my Twitter. And then for Jeremy,
BitcoinCashPodcast.com. It's got all the information you need about Bitcoin Cash because I'm obsessed with it. So anything that if you want to get into the history and all the details and how everything went down with the different versions of Bitcoin, what is money, how is it going to take over the entire world, all the information's there. Check it out, BitcoinCashPodcast.com.
And do you have any personal social media that you prefer anyone to follow?
I don't know. I guess Twitter, the podcast Twitter has been doing quite well recently. And then from that, it's also got a link to my individual one because I found that I shouldn't just tweet about my random thoughts to everybody who was looking for Bitcoin Cash news. But that's a relatively recent innovation. And it's been interesting to see like how many people kind of see that. And like not many people care about me, apparently. Everybody just wants the podcast news. So I don't mind about that.
Speaking of the podcast, what is again the name of the podcast and the Twitter for that?
So it's called the Bitcoin Cash Podcast, and it's at the BCH podcast, following Bitcoin Cash on its rise to global reserve currency.
Okay, super easy to remember then.
Perfect. Thanks for having us. It's been great.
Thank you so much for being on here and hanging out and explaining things to me for a while. You know, a big part of this for me is I have kind of a base level understanding of most of what we discuss, but never a very in-depth understanding of the kind of specifics that we get into. And that is why I ask so many questions, because a lot of this is for my own understanding as well, which I think is why the format of this has worked fairly well so far. For anyone else kind of like me that's still trying to dig into this stuff and feel a little bit more knowledgeable and not get too highly technical, but still kind of hit the important stuff. So
I think you're
very much appreciated for being here.
Cheers. Thank you.
Been fun. Thanks.
All right. Thank you. And that's going to be all for today. See you for episode 11.
Yeah. Thanks for having us. And good luck with the flip starter. I donated a bit. I saw Kallisti donated a bit. You're nearly halfway there on the goal. So maybe you get 1 or 2 big contributors and a few more other people flood in, and there you go.
Yes, that's the hope. And thanks for the donations as well.
You're welcome. Welcome. Bitcoin Cash needs more cash fusion. Like we were talking about, it's not on our roadmap in the immediate term. So if you can fill that gap, would be amazing.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, we'll try to keep getting the word out there, tweet it out a little bit more, and hopefully get some more people to kind of latch onto this idea. So, all right. Well, you guys enjoy the rest of your day, and thank you so much for being on here, and I'll continue to follow you both.
That's it. Thanks. Have a great weekend.
You too.